Hey, welcome to another episode of Legion Elite Motorsports. I'm your host, Isaiah. And today we are going to tear into that G54B and see what's what. So let's dive in. Okay, we're back at it. We are going to drain the oil and we're going to bust this engine block down. So, I know you can't see this, but we're taking the drain pan loose, drain plug rather, and we're draining it out. All right. Tilt it, kind of facilitate things. Okay, cool. So anyway, while that's draining, we're gonna take loose the alternator because it is on the cover. That has to come off. All right. This seemed not to have a tensioner, which is perfectly fine. Wow, look at that. It's a nice little mound there. So besides the mound of pure particles here, I'm not going to move this around too much. I don't want it to fall down in there. But I believe this engine is balanced. See all of the material taken off from each rod. It's funny. The material is taken off of each rod except number 2, which is the rod that failed. That's a little strange. All right, so now we are at the oil pump, which looks good. There's nothing inside. I'm gonna take this apart and clean it up to make sure there's no fine materials inside of metal, so we don't lose oil pressure. I'm also going to raise the oil pressure up by shimming this area here, which I'm going to show you guys in a bit, but not yet. So let's take this stuff apart. Alrighty. The timing marks on here don't matter anymore because we have balancer shafts eliminated. This is only for balancer shafts. So basically you want to remove this evenly in order to get it off of the pins. There's 2 pins on each side to make sure that it goes on straight. So you want to move it out evenly, softly with a pry bar, nothing crazy. And then that'll do it. So that's loose, that's ready to come out. And now we can start taking out our rods, and we're gonna number them 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one out, and then I'm gonna wrap a piece of tape over it and label it number 1, just so you know exactly where each piston goes according to each cylinder. And you count number 1 from timing chain back. So 1, 4. So we just gonna put it together like that. Alrighty. Now this is the exciting part for me, and these look like ARP rod bolts. Not bad, not bad. So this is the exciting part for me because we get to see how the rest of the engine is doing in these areas while all of the disaster was going on. Now, this isn't the bearing. The bearing is still stuck onto the crankshaft, but you could see some heat marks in there. Yep, looks like improper oil was used and it started taking a bite out of the bearing. So it looks like all of them were definitely going to fail. Yeah. So that's piston number 1. Not a forged piston, but it was balanced. All right. So this one actually looks cleaner. No heat marks, no dents. I'd like to say it didn't damage the crankshaft, at least not with the banging up and down. So immediately what I could tell is here the bearing overheated, and then that's when it started to make contact. I want to say that this is due to using synthetic oil, but I can't assume that yet until I talk to the owner. But something similar like this happened to me on my car, my silver car. So low oil pressure and high RPMs looks like the killer of these bearings. Yeah, and synthetic oil, it cleans so well that it actually doesn't give you any backbone for any, bearing material. So this is normal. I seized the motor on synthetic, and I got rod knock on synthetic. So I don't use synthetic anymore. I use conventional oil. But honestly, the crankshaft doesn't look too bad. Yeah, it looks like it just heated up and smashed out the bearings due to friction. So not too bad, not too bad. I think, and I hope that this crankshaft can get polished out and put right back in. So let's get rod number 2 out. It's a little rough on the corners. Still bearing material. All right, so you see that there? How it still looks round in this area? That's a good sign. I don't know if you could see it, but yeah, that's a good sign. We're still going to replace this rod just to make sure that we're putting in a rod that is perfectly round. We're gonna get this crankshaft to the machine shop, see if it's savable, and yeah, that's a lot of good news. So yeah. Yeah, all of the wear and layer is gone except on the corners. It's a little rough, but not too bad. All right, this says 0.25 millimeter on it, so these may be undersized or over. Well, these are oversized bearings, it looks like. So we're gonna keep these for reference. All right. Same deal here. We got more wear on one side than the other, which is not good. So yeah. All right. Thrust washer looks pretty good. A little bit more abrasion in the rear, which is normal. You have a clutch to push. So not too bad. It was starting to pit over here, so that was about to get eaten up. Yep, that's bearing material right there. That's not good. I'm gonna check the crankshaft in that specific area to see what happened, but yep. Uneven wear. Yeah. Yeah, this whole thing was a little rough. I think it has a lot to do with the type of oil that was being used. Yeah, that's definitely rough. Yeah, we'll definitely see if this all can be polished out, but we're definitely going to leave it to the discretion of the machine shop. Old crankshaft. Yep. Okay. So, rear main seal looks good. No tears, no anything. All right. So, on the rod bearings, I don't know if you could see this. Probably not. Let's see if I can get closer. Here we go. It says 0.50 on the bearings, so I believe these are oversized also. So definitely not standard anywhere on this crankshaft, which is interesting. It was rebuilt, so that kind of makes sense. Yeah, so machine shop time. I have a bearing from my engine and crankshaft setup, and let me see if I could zoom in again. And you probably can't see it, but it says standard right there, and you can tell the difference in the bearing. This one versus, alrighty, versus this one. This one's actually thicker, and this one is actually thinner. So, and you can see the wear differences. This is the oversized, this is the standard. So the standard still has the factory protective coating. Still has the factory protective coating right here. As for the oversized, is a little chewed up on that factory coating. So the kind of gray area is a factory coating to make sure that nothing gets chewed up. And then once you remove that layer, it's a chrome layer underneath. So that's standard up top, oversized on the bottom. So the crankshaft is out. That is all done. As you can see, I got a lot of cleaning to do. So I'm gonna get this stuff taken care of. And yeah, she should be good. And I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. There's definitely going to be more to come. I'm also going to show you guys the verdict and the decisions that's going to be made pertaining to that crankshaft, since the crankshaft is undersized, 0.25, and then the rod bearings are 0.50. So that's near the limit. Hopefully it could be saved. If not, we're gonna see if we can find another crankshaft that will be suited to the engine. So until then, I'll see you next episode.